Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Thanks for
Good
jumping in.
morning.
Welcome to the Power Hour. We're gonna get started in just a few minutes. Please let anyone else know that the Power Hour has started. So we're just gonna start off with this quick intro.
To honor and celebrate Black history. And the guests this morning are giving you an opportunity really to be a leader. If you want your voice to be heard, your opinion to be heard, and we're talking about all throughout Georgia to really make a change, this is what you need to tune into. Here with us are Melvin Coleman and Michelle Glover with the Atlanta Black Chambers. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you
for having us. Okay, so first let's just talk about what is the Black Chamber?
So we're an organization of entrepreneurs based here in Atlanta, but our membership extends or expands across the world actually, because Atlanta is an international city.
Okay.
So we support and assist entrepreneurs to take their business endeavors to that next level.
Okay.
The only thing about Atlanta, the entrepreneur population is very significant. In fact, the entrepreneur experience is a big part of the ATL experience. So the demand for what we offer is huge because of the city of Atlanta.
And there really are a lot of people who try to be business owners here in our city, which is really cool. So why is it important for them to get involved?
Well, entrepreneurs, business owners, they need a trusted, reliable source for information, access to resources, exposure for their business, exposure for their brand. And so to be connected to the Atlanta Black Chambers is to be in the know. You don't want to miss on a wonderful program or some resources that have been made available. And so when you are connected to the chamber, you find out consistently all the information that you need to know. And this is very important.
Okay.
Awesome, awesome. And that is why we are here. So good morning, everybody. Thank you for jumping in. My name is Ricardo Barris. I'm the chairman for the Global Opportunities Committee for the Atlanta Black Chamber. And the Global Opportunities Committee is really if you may, one of the most vibrant committee within the chamber, because our job in the chamber is to really help our members to access global opportunities around the world. Whether these opportunities are in trade or in partnership or simply investment opportunities, we invite members from the global community around the world who would like to be a part of our community to lean into some of the things that we do at the Global Opportunities Committee. There are some programs that we actually have that we'll talk through on this Power Hour. This is an example of our engagement series where we bring people together from all over the world. And so feel free to say who you are, put your name in the chat, where you're coming in from. That would be fantastic for us to understand some of the spaces that you're tuning into. And on the Power Hour, we always say the hour shall pass. So we only have 60 minutes, but the power continues. And so get your notepads or your pen ready to make some notes as you learn today. At the end of the session, somewhere about 45 minutes in, if you have any questions during this conversation that we're going to have, please, we'll allow you to ask your question. Please be brief about your question. We'll give you an opportunity to come off mic and also share your question with our guest today. If you also are interested in of course connecting with our guest, we'll be using the information that you share into the chat. I think we've got some of our GOC team that's going to be sharing stuff throughout the chat. You can share your information in the chat as well during the program. And we're going to be doing spotlighting. Spotlighting is a feature for the Power Hour where we're going to be spotlighting a member and we'll spotlight an opportunity. If you are a member of GOC and you'd like to be spotlighted, please message us in the chat. You can private message us and we'll give you an opportunity to come on mic. I know you're born ready, so you should always be ready to then talk about your business, talk about what you're actually doing internationally. So we're going to be doing that throughout the session. All right, so we're going to get on with it. Today is a special day, and it's, as always, it's Wednesday, so Wednesdays are special for us. And I have a guest today, Dr. MZ Fula. And so I'm excited to learn about Doc, and we want Doc to to begin the conversation with introducing himself. So Doc, thank you for jumping in. I mean, I call you Doc. Thank you for being a part of this conversation. Why don't we get started with telling us a little bit about who you are. Tell us a little bit about what you do. And you're obviously Angolan, and so we're going to be talking a little bit more about Angola, and just give our viewers here an opportunity to understand the landscape that is Angola. So why don't we start with a little bit about you and what it is that that you do?
Well, welcome, Ricardo, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Dr. Fula Ngenge. I'm the chairman of the African Diamond Council. I'm also a regional representative for the GOC Committee and Atlanta Black Chambers. I wanted to take the opportunity to bring some very interesting opportunities to the forefront regarding the Republic of Angola. And I wanted to talk about opportunities specifically for African Americans in Angola, and also to explore the economic potential of the sectors and the strategic partnerships.
Fantastic. So, and you're also, by the way, you're also a regional lead for GOC, which means that you actually help us within our community to understand more about Angola and the opportunities that exist there. So let's start with that. Give us an overview of Angola through your eyes, through your experience. Like, tell us a little bit about Angola. For those of us who have never visited Angola, doesn't really know where Angola is. People might be mistaken in thinking Angola is in the Caribbean, but so maybe you can help them to get those right.
Well, to talk about geography and demographics, for example, the Republic of Angola, we're located in the southern region of Africa, in a region called the SADC region, the Southern African Development region. And also we have a population of around between 35 and 40 million people. Our official language is Portuguese. When you talk about economic overview, our currency is the Kwanza. We are definitely the top country in Africa with regard to U.S.-Africa relations, and we've had a visit here from the former President Joe Biden in December, and a lot of that attention that we got from that is carried over into 2025.
And so Portuguese, and obviously that sounds, when you say Portuguese, the only thing I can think about is Portugal and Brazil. Tell me a little bit about that history and how are those connected? I imagine you have a lot of Brazilians in Angola, or you may have a lot of Angolans in Brazil. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, the Portuguese were the most successful slave traders in the history of slave trading. I wouldn't say there's that many Brazilians in Angola, but I would say there's many Angolans in the US and in Brazil. And when you look at that, this gives us a strong ground to stand on and a strong foundation to really talk about the makeup of African Americans. 26% of African Americans can really be considered Angolan American. 92% of them have traces of the DNA. And I would always encourage people in the US or in Brazil to try to do some type of DNA analysis to kind of find out who they are and to understand what opportunities that may exist for them if they were to come to Angola.
Fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about, well, first, backstage, so to speak, virtual backstage, we were talking about sort of DNA and how do we engage diaspora? And maybe I want to kind of throw that in right now. Like, if people want to know, like, am I Angolan or not? Like, there is a process to actually doing that, right? How connected are you, and are you connected? Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I thought that was interesting in terms of really helping us as a diaspora community to understand which tribe or where do we belong. And maybe some of us here on the call do belong to Angola, but we have no idea. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I think one of the best examples in the entire world is to look at a family that is based in Virginia. It's the Tucker family. These are descendants of the first two slaves that arrived into the United States of America. They arrived into the Port Comfort, it was called back then. It's now called Hampton, Virginia. The Tucker family has really helped Angola turn on the light or the spotlight, so to speak, to help the world understand that we have a diaspora engagement strategy. They do a tour every year where they come in the month of June and July. They come to Angola. They bring with them quite a few experts to come and enjoy that heritage tour. Those people are connected to institutions, museums, universities, and going back to DNA analysis. I think this is the first generation in the US that has had an opportunity to kind of find out who they really are. And I'm encouraging all of them to go and try to do some type of DNA analysis because it helps us help you. It also points you in a particular direction to a particular country, a particular province, a particular tribe, and it helps you kind of discover who you are. And if you look at the last 400 years, I mean, not previous generations haven't had the opportunity to discover who they really are, and this generation is well armed and well equipped to kind of identify that and point them in the right direction.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And we're going to talk a little bit about any resource that you may have. Like if people want to proceed with this, where do they go? Because, you know, here in the US, there are a lot of, for example, providers who can give you DNA tests and so forth and so on. But it sounds like maybe going to Angola might be one of the best things that you could do to find out how connected you are to the Angolan community. Let's talk a little bit about the opportunities that exist. When we think about opportunities in GOC, we like to think about them in three buckets, right? Trade opportunities. If you have a product or a service that you'd like to engage, you said there are several millions of people. Was it 32 million that you said, if I'm not mistaken? How many millions of people in Angola?
Yeah, between 35 and 40 million.
Yeah, so 35, 40 million people in Angola. I mean, that's tremendous. I mean, that essentially is probably like the state of Florida almost, right? But as we think about opportunity, we like to think about them in three dimensions. So trade, if you've got a physical product or a service that you'd like to then engage with, so people might be interested in export or importing products from Angola or exporting products to Angola. We like to also think about opportunities in the form of investment. So if people are interested in investing in the Angola's ecosystem, or is probably looking for investors to then come into Angola. Can you talk a little bit about those, even partnerships? Like we talk about opportunities in the form of partnerships as well. Someone on the call may be interested in finding a partner to do something together in Angola, or may have the capacity to actually partner with someone from some other parts of the world. I want you to kind of talk a little bit about some of the exciting opportunities that are taking place right now in Angola that folks can be a part of.
Well, since we have a U.S. embassy here, I think there's a great deal of opportunity for people who have worked for the State Department or who currently work for the State Department. Of course, we have companies like IBM here. We have Coca-Cola, Chevron, ExxonMobil, NBA is here. Boeing has a strong presence here. They have plans to open up a facility here for their aircraft. There's GE, John Deere, companies like AfriCell. If you are associated with any of those companies or entities, you definitely have a foothold to get in here, be transferred here, to work here and kind of be ahead of the pack, so to speak. And of course, when you talk about investment in infrastructure development, there are quite a few opportunities with energy, roads, education, healthcare, transportation, waste management, recreation and sports, and even in museums.
That's fantastic. So you've got a plethora of different services, and I heard you mention something about development of a rail system. What's that about? Can you talk a little bit about that? That sounds pretty huge, and where are you guys in that process today?
Well, we have a project. It's called the Lobito Corridor, and I don't think there are very many people who are familiar with this Lobito Corridor. It's a very strategic railway that stretches from the Atlantic Ocean to the Indian Ocean. It starts in Lobito and ends up in Dar es Salaam. That corridor is basically a very strategic infrastructure project, and it's aimed at enhancing transportation and economic integration. This has been the talk of the town. You've had quite a bit of U.S. investment that has gone into that. And it's opened up quite a few doors. The railway will be upgraded. It's 1,300 kilometers, more or less, from the port of Lobito to the Angola's eastern border. And now we featured a luxury train, for example. It has helped us highlight some of the opportunities for tourism along the Lobito corridor. We have the Robus Rail that's based in South Africa. This is a luxury train that comes from Dar es Salaam to Lobito every year in the month of July. Quite a few people get on that train, and it's not really related to business, but it gives those tourists an opportunity to identify their own opportunities for business, because along that railway, there's not quite a bit other than natural beauty, and there's a lot to be developed. It goes through Zambia, it goes through the Democratic Republic of Congo, and there are quite a few opportunities that any passenger that jumps on that train can see.
Wow, that's fantastic. And so that's exciting, because I think how do say businesses here in America or other parts of the world, those of us who are joining from other jurisdiction, I know there are folks who are on this call from places like Nigeria and Ghana, and I don't know if we've got any folks on here from Europe or South America, but typically we get a very wide range of business owners from different parts of the world. How do they get involved, or how do they get to participate in some of these exciting opportunities? Are these sort of government procurement? How does the private sector get involved in this kind of stuff? Do you need partners on the ground?
Yeah, it would be worthwhile to have an Angolan partner on the ground. I would also encourage people to enroll and register in the U.S.-Africa Summit that's hosted by the Republic of Angola, and it's the entity behind it is the Corporate Council on Africa. It will be based in Luanda this year. I put a link there in the remarks there, so people can access it and find out more about how to register. I must say that Angola is the number two oil producer behind Nigeria on the continent of Africa, and we are the number two diamond producer behind the Republic of Botswana in terms of value. So those are two resources that Angola has become known for. Diamonds, mineral, and also there's very fertile agricultural land. So in terms of agricultural potential, we're definitely at the top. We have companies like Rio Tinto and De Beers that have entered in the diamond sector. So it's just a matter of time before we become number one.
Yeah, thank you. And for those of us who are just joining, welcome to the Power Hour, where the hour shall pass, where the power continues. We're having a conversation with Dr. MZ Fula, who is Angolan himself, and is talking about the opportunities that exist in Angola, helping us to understand the landscape of Angola. And I see you have a couple of fellow Angolans here on the call, and also keeping the chat active. And we're going to talk a little bit about sort of culture, because I think it's obviously important that if you're going to do anything in Angola, you've got to understand the Angolan culture. You got to understand how Angolans actually do business. And I think education is obviously a big part of it. And we backstage, we're talking about HSBCUs and some of the things that you guys are actually doing around that. So let's start with that. Help us to understand the cultural dynamics for Angolans, and how do you actually do business with fellow businessmen?
Well, business between African Americans and Angolans, if you look at them separately, they're very much alike. There's quite a bit that's in common, even when it comes to cultural interests, cuisine. There are quite a few similarities. And once those people in the U.S. land on this side here in the U.S., I think the first thing they realize is they have more in common with the Angolan culture than they do at home. And then they start to convince themselves that it's basically one instead of two separate. It's one people, two different continents. And I think it's very important for those people to land on the ground and kind of explore. Language has not been a big barrier as most would think. The Tucker family comes here, they get along very well in terms of communicating with Angolans. They're well received. If you look at Wanda Tucker, she's considered the matriarch of the family. She's the queen. And of course, her brother's the president of the 1624 Tucker Society. And if you go to their website, it will really bring you in deep in terms of what an African-American experience is like inside the Republic of Angola. Carolita Jones Cope is the key organizer for the Tucker Tour. So that's someone it's important to know if you plan on joining the tour. Of course, this year the tour is sold out, but and there's a waiting list for other people to join the tour. And this year has become very popular because Angola is celebrating 50 years of independence. So there's quite a bit of activities that are taking place throughout the year that commemorate 50 years of independence.
Wow, that's fantastic. And it seems like the Tucker family has been doing an amazing job. I mean, to have a tour that's already sold out for 2025, and that's tremendous. Now, I know that here we talk a lot about Spanish and learning Spanish and sending our kids to learn Spanish, and maybe don't speak a lot about Portuguese. And if Portuguese is kind of the main language in Angola, how do you embrace that? So obviously you speak English there as well, but what should we be teaching our business owners about learning Portuguese as part of the culture? Because it is who you are. So we've got to be able to learn Portuguese to then really engage and embrace the culture that you have there. No?
Sure. Anyone that's attempting to learn Portuguese will add a layer of value that will never be considered invaluable. So I always encourage people to learn Portuguese, but at the same time, there are also opportunities in education for HBCUs to come and set up in Angola to bring their English departments. I mean, imagine what would happen if you saw an Angolan child who graduated from high school, he got in a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and a PhD in English. He'd probably be one of the best English speakers on the entire continent. So that's why I'm always trying to make HBCUs aware of the opportunities that exist, and not only with language. I mean, Portuguese should not be considered a roadblock. There are opportunities for US-based individuals to come here and launch translation services that would be very valuable to helping the Republic of Angola get valuable information out there about what the country is all about and what people are entitled to if they were to come and contribute.
That's fantastic, because a lot of our members on this call they're service-oriented businesses, and they're looking for opportunities that they can add to their existing business or potentially pivot into new opportunities. And so it sounds like translation service, for example, is a great one. Obviously helping business owners to grow and to scale beyond the shores of Angola, if you may. It also sounds like a great one. I want to shift the conversation a little bit though, because I'll tell you guys a story and how important it is to follow us. So we're posting in the chat or LinkedIn or social media to follow us on social media. Become a member if you can. But this is a very interesting story. Like literally it just happened. So last week we got a message on our LinkedIn from someone who said, hey, I saw your message about the meeting you're actually having this week with Angola. I'm actually in Atlanta and I'm from Angola and I'm doing some amazing things that I'd love to talk about. I'm interested in collaborating and having a conversation. I know about the gentleman that you guys are going to be talking. And so I got in a call with this young lady and we talked for a minute and I asked her, are you a part of our community already? Are you a member of the chamber? She says, no. As a matter of fact, I'm not. And but I'd be interested. I'd be open to being a part of the chamber right now, literally. And I said, well, that's amazing. If you want to be a part of the chamber, join the chamber. You can join GOC. We can actually bring you up on our conversation next week, because I would love to meet more Angolians in Atlanta. And I had no idea how many of them are actually here. I'm like, well, this lady might be able to tell us how many Angolans are here, because she seems to be doing a lot of work with Angolans, really helping them to, number one, do business in Atlanta, to be successful here, but number two, connect them to the diaspora and connect them to Atlanta. And so be it. She literally just did that, talking about a true entrepreneur, talking about someone who, they're movers and shakers. And so I'd love to bring her up to spotlight her and spotlight the opportunity that she has. And I'm talking about Lucia Stancilas. Thank you for being an action person. Thank you for really reaching out to us. And we ask folks to follow us for those simple reasons, because you just never know who you'll meet and when you'll meet them. So I'd love to ask you to unmute your mic, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are, and tell us about this opportunity that you actually have that you wanted us to hear about. And welcome to the Atlanta Black Chambers community. Welcome to the GOC community. We're global community, global minded, global mindset. So over to you. Tell us a little bit about that.
Wow. Thank you so much, Ricardo. Thank you for doing this. I'm so excited. I'm thrilled to be part of this here today. Of course, I'm originally from Angola, and I've been in the States for 25 years, or a little over 25 years. But before that, I started my social entrepreneur journey in Angola when I was about 14 years old. And I attended an HBCU, Maurice Brown College here in Atlanta. So all of this is coming to a full circle. I've been working in Angola. I've been providing consulting services for the oil and gas. As a mentor, we've been mentoring emerging entrepreneurs in the tech, innovation, business, and just general commerce for the past 10 years. And we are now organizing a mission, a trade, investment, and sustainability mission, because I'm very passionate about creating impact, about creating sustainable development from the economic standpoint. So we are going to have our pre-mission in March here in Atlanta, and the actual mission in June. We're taking a delegation, and we are facilitating this building of bridges, and we are bringing under a proof of concept. We took a small delegation a couple of years ago with two African American men from the film industry for an impact initiative in mental health awareness. And from that, a couple of initiatives emerge. One is the Train 100 Women in Tech, and we've been doing that successfully. We've trained a few women. We are also establishing a Capoeira Angola conference in Angola, the first one, an international one, and it's going to be around the same time with the mission, when the mission is going to be going to Angola. So we have a lot of opportunities, not just in the business, but also in the heritage and cultural aspects of life. So I know, Ricardo, you gave me 90 seconds to speak. I'm so excited. I just want to thank you. And if you have any more questions, please email me, call me, and I'll leave my information on the chat. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lucia, and congrats on your planned delegation. We do delegations as well in GOC, and we actually have some folks coming in from Malawi and Congo and South Africa this week to participate in the Atlanta Black Expo. So if you're in Atlanta and you'd like to engage in the Atlanta Black Expo, it's actually organized by one of our members and produced by them every year. I think they're in their 4th year. This is going to be this weekend, actually, at the World Congress Center. So if you go to atlantablackexpo.com, you may be able to still get a chance to get in and connect with some of the folks there on the ground. But this is exciting because building a community is no joke. But once you bring community together and bring people together, amazing things happen. So thank you for sharing. We're actually going to Europe as well next month with a group of CEOs from Atlanta to really then connect with the diaspora in the UK, in Germany, in France, as well as the Netherlands. So exciting things happen when you do delegation. So congrats and putting that together, and make sure that you reach out to Lucia if you are actually interested in that. So we're going to go back to the conversation, but if you would like to be spotlighted, whether on this conversation or the next, please reach out to us if you're a member. If you're not a member, you know what to do to then join in the folks here and join the community so that we can go ahead and spotlight you. So Doc, let's get back to our conversation. I think this is exciting for what's actually happening in Angola. Let's talk about challenges now. There's risk everywhere. A few weeks ago, we had a group of experts coming on talking about risk management and how do you really mitigate risk. And I think we took a lot away from that conversation. What are some of the risks and challenges that are involved in doing business in Angola, in being a part of the Angola ecosystem from a business standpoint?
Well, just like any other place, we do have challenges, and I won't try to magnify them greater than any other place, but there are some economic risks, of course. We are highly dependent on oil prices. We can be really affected by currency fluctuations. We have limited transportation, which creates opportunities for those in the US to come and try to help us sort out some of those challenges we may have in transportation and logistics. In terms of energy infrastructure, I think we're pretty much on our way. We've exceeded expectations, but we do need to improve significantly a little bit more in the energy sector. We do have plans to launch solar farms. Renewable energy is being highlighted for the last 5 to 10 years. We have established Luanda as a legitimate energy hub. You see a lot of the oil companies transitioning into energy companies. Total is now Total Energy. Some oil is now Etu Energy. So these companies, BP, for example, Azure Energy. So many of the energy transition is right here in front of us, and it's taking place. And we're very proud to be at the forefront of some of that. Of course, we have some issues with bureaucracy. There may be some slight delays in getting some type of permit or some type of regulatory approval. This is also something to consider. We need to kind of understand what we're getting into before we're getting into that. But in terms of potential, we have a great deal of potential. Like I said, no other challenges that you see in Angola that you haven't seen anywhere else.
So the challenges are similar, and you've got similar risks like other parts of the region. And so how do you mitigate against some of these? I know, for example, energy, we've got a number of members who are in the energy business, renewable energy. I see some folks on the call that's into solar, and they provide alternative energy sources, and they may be thinking, well, like, how do I get into Angola to provide our services or to really partner, if you may, with other Angolians. But I'm thinking about the risk. I'm thinking about what you're saying and how do we mitigate against those. Can you speak a little bit about any mitigation strategy that we should be considering as we think about going into Angola?
Sure. It's very important at the outset to do some type of market research, and you need to identify those sectors that you're interested in. You need to understand what the opportunities are. I think legal and financial preparation also should be a top priority. come in, maybe hire a local legal representative or some type of financial advisor who's bilingual here in Angola, collaborate with local businesses or government agencies, try to understand what their focus is. These are being updated every quarter in terms of how we should get to that particular point. Come in, try to register your company or your business, not only with the Ministry of Commerce, but kind of get a feel for what the Angola National Bank can offer you to come in and set up and structure your business wisely. Implementation is also very important. You want to hire local people. Those local people, even if they're subordinates, those are the people that help you understand your environment. Those are the people that secure your success. Once you come in and you've set up properly, you've hired local people and you've demonstrated that you're interested in propping up local talent, this is what gives you that level of success you may need to move forward. You need to monitor and basically scale as well, track your performances and expand as needed, and really pay close attention to what the market is telling you to do, because it's right there in front of you. And regarding Angola, there's quite a bit of informal success here that's outperforming the formal and the corporate, because like I said, they are more in tune with what the people want, what they need, what's available, and what are the obstacles.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And, I always think that just based on the conversations that we've had over the last couple of months globally, everything literally rises and falls on partnership, if you may, right? You need to have local people who understand what's actually happening on the ground. So you need those local connect, and you need to be able to build trust. You need to be able to build this sort of relationship that allows you to then get into that community. Partnership is very, very essential from what I'm hearing you're saying, and identifying a local partner, whether that's a legal partner, a business partner that you can begin to actually work with. Now, folks, if you actually have questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat. We're going to start taking questions soon, or if you want to raise your hand, and we'll come to you shortly based on when you raise your hand, right? So feel free to actually do that. Now, MZ, we want to talk a little bit about some of the, if you may, I think go back to infrastructure. I saw someone put in the chat that infrastructure is high on the list in terms of some of the needs and some of the development. Break down for us again some of these different infrastructure challenges that you're having in terms of opportunities where people may be able to lend their expertise to help develop some of those.
Well, the country had a 27-year civil war. I don't know if you realize, but it's important to say that, because that helps me help you understand where the opportunities are regarding infrastructure. There are rebuilding efforts post-Civil War. There's quite a bit of opportunities in construction and transportation, logistics. Angola is doing a wonderful job highlighting its potential as a legitimate logistical hub. And I say that because we have a new airport, and we have the Lobito Corridor, the most strategic railway on the continent of Africa. And when it comes to aviation, our national airline, they formed beautiful relationships with companies like Airbus and Boeing. We've been receiving new aircraft. We received the new Airbus A220. We received the Dreamliner just 2 weeks ago. And this is what's really helping Angola demonstrate that we're a logistical superpower as well. So in terms of infrastructure, I mean, there's quite a bit for HBCUs, for example. We have an area designated as our UNESCO World Heritage Site. This is called Masengano. And Masengano is a particular area that the Tucker family goes to every year. This place has been slated for redevelopment. We will put quite a bit of money into it. There are opportunities for HBCUs to come and set up and highlight their #1 department or their #1 school within Masengano into one university complex. And I know there's quite a few HBCUs that could come in and make a big difference. If you look at Hampton, for example, Hampton University, why I choose Hampton first, it's in the state of Virginia, and there's a strong relationship between the state of Virginia and the Republic of Angola. And even when it comes to sister cities, there's a link there. So Hampton, they have a strong nursing and health sciences department that could really come in and make a huge impact in the Republic of Angola, in Masingano. Howard University, their law school, and even with Spelman and Morehouse, you know, biology, pre-med, sciences, technology, engineering. Clark can come in with mass media, and I know there's Tuskegee with the veterinary school that's superb, that would help us with our agriculture and our environmental sciences. North Carolina A&T, they've been producing some of the best engineers. We could really benefit from that, and having all these universities like Xavier or Delaware State, Texas Southern could come in and help us with aviation and aerospace. So there's quite a few opportunities. So in terms of creating a very sound infrastructure, I think education and HBCUs could really do a wonderful job leading or being the pilot program for others that want to follow.
And then what about, thank you, and what about technology? Because as you develop these other infrastructure, there's going to be a huge dependent, obviously, on the technology part of that ecosystem. Can you share some information, if you may, shed some light on the technology sector, and what are some of those opportunities that we can consider?
Well, one of the greatest opportunity I would say is in fintech. E-commerce and telecommunications. There's a growing digital economy here in Angola. We have companies like AfriCell. It's a US company. They've come in and basically competed with the number one Unitel, which is a telecommunications company. So there's still room for more companies to come in and demonstrate that they can compete and add value to our environment here. So when it comes to technology, I mean, it's wide open. Even when it comes to artificial intelligence, there's space. And like I said, going back to that translation opportunity, if a lot of these texts, these softwares were offered in Portuguese language, it would just help secure you not only in the Republic of Angola, but in the entire Lusophone world.
Yeah, that's very interesting, and I think we've got a couple folks here who are in the tech space that would love to learn more about that. I do want to ask though around. I'm just kind of thinking about folks who are on the call who may have never done anything international before, so this is kind of going to be their first you know, if you may, global you know, step into something outside of their existing space. So we consider them as, you know, going global. They've got the right mindset and they're ready to do something. And I want to talk to that group. I want you to speak to that group today. Why should Angola be the first place they stop, essentially? If they've heard about all of these different spaces, and maybe they're in the Valley of Decision, you know, maybe they're thinking about some other jurisdictions, and maybe they're thinking about whether or not this is something that would make sense for them and for their business and for growth, right? Does it even make sense to go global at this particular time? We're living in an era now where we're seeing a lot of shift happening politically and so forth. But why should then this group consider Angola being the first stop? Excite us a little bit about why we should then think about that. And if you can put some numbers on it, because I see someone ask in the chat, are you able to share sort of the investment amount, like the range? You know, if I've got $1 million, is it worth it? Or if I've got 100,000, like where does it actually start?
Well, let's talk about some of the companies that have come here. Chevron or Exxon or NBA or Coca-Cola, like I said, Boeing, John Deere. These are companies that consider Angola a very valuable environment in terms of success for their company on the entire continent. When you see a US president make a trip, he thinks it's important to land in the Republic of Angola before his term is over. It's another identifier that helps you understand that there's some relevance there. So even going back to arts and culture, I mean, you can look at even jazz artists or rap and hip hop artists. I mean, I don't think anyone on this call realizes the number of people that have actually landed here, performed in Angola, more than they have in places like South Africa or Nigeria. I mean, and it started years ago. You have artists like Busta Rhymes or Fat Joe, Ja Rule, 50 Cent, Rick Ross, Trey Songz, Tito Jackson, Jermaine Jackson, LaToya Jackson. They've all been to Angola. And McCoy Tyner, the jazz pianist, has been here. George Benson, Joe Sample, Diane Reeves, Nina Freelon, people like Joshua Redmond, Marcus Gilmore. There's so many people to reference and that you could come in contact with, if not on a monthly basis in US, and just say, hey, tell us about Angola. And all these things that I mentioned, not just US government, but there's artists that have come here. There's athletes that have come here. NBA is huge here. Historically, we are the best basketball team on the continent of Africa. We were African champions last year for the NBA Africa. We've won AfroBasket 11 times, more than any country on the entire continent. And like I said, even when it comes to cultural and tourism, we're really stepping out. You have people like Maria Borges. She's a supermodel, and she's our official tourism and cultural ambassador. She's a Victoria's Secret model. She's been with L'Oreal, and she's very visible at Cannes Film Festival. She's all over the place. She was at the inauguration even for the new president in the United States. So, I mean, this is someone that's really carrying our flag for us everywhere. She comes to the Virginia, and she carries our national flag at the Virginia landing event with the Tucker family hosting that. So, I mean, Angola is pretty much everywhere where you don't think we are. And people who have never been to Angola should look at those people that have kind of stepped in and try to get a feel for how these people have benefited, what were some of their takeaways, and try to come in and basically take advantage of some of the opportunities themselves.
Well, that's fantastic, and it sounds like if you're just getting started and you are part of you're saying like where do I start? How do I take advantage of some of these opportunities? You may want to take a closer look at Angola for sure. One of the things that we do within GOC is a B2B matchmaking, because we believe so much in putting people together who can really then have conversations more intimately, if you may, about the different opportunities that they actually have. And so every month, starting last month, we actually are organizing a virtual B2B matchmaking event. And so at the end of every month, we bring people together from all over the world who may be a buyer, a seller, an investor, an investee, maybe looking for a partner. And I know we're going to be having a few Angolans on this one. So we'd love for you to be a part of that virtual B2B matchmaking. The links are actually shared into the chat next week, Thursday, starting from 10 all day. We open up our platform to allow you to come in, set up your business profile, see the profiles of others who are interested in meeting, who's got an opportunity that you may be able to partner with and grow your business from. So we do encourage you to register and be a part of that. This is our way of keeping you engaged, but this is also our way of connecting you to peers and prospect. I like to call it. Your business owners, and every day you're looking for someone to partner with, or you're looking for someone to essentially do business together, peers and prospects. So please follow the link and go ahead and be a part of that. Now we'll take questions now. So if you've got a question, please raise your hand. We'll give you a chance to unmute and then ask your question. So who's going to be first on the list here? All right. I saw a question in the chat earlier. I think it was by Janelle, and I don't know, Janelle, if you want to unmute and ask a question, I'll probably ask it for you. I think you were asking about some of the solar and and renewable energy opportunities that exist. Did you want to go ahead and ask your question out loud?
Yes, I will definitely ask my question out loud. I wanted to know, what are the different opportunities related to solar energy infrastructure, as well as wind. What else? Like what other agricultural opportunities? Because solar, rural development, and agriculture go hand in hand. So I'm quite interested in those opportunities.
Okay, I can talk a little bit about that. When it comes to energy, like I said, Angola is going out of their way to establish themselves as an energy hub. They're trying to demonstrate that they can move away from a strong emphasis of oil and gas and demonstrate that we are focused also on renewable energy. We have a dam here, Lauca Dam. Even the Tucker family has visited that dam. It gave them a really bird's eye view into what we are doing to secure our future in the energy sector. We do have solar farms, and it does tie into also to agriculture, because when you look at agriculture, we were one of the top coffee producers in the entire world during colonization. A lot of that coffee interest has come back. We will be in the top 5, I'm sure, even in the next 5 to 10 years. We are dominant when it comes to tropical fruits. And unlike US, you have to get your oranges from California or Florida. Your potatoes are coming from Idaho. But when you look at the Republic of Angola, we have everything here, from bananas, strawberries, oranges, all growing inside Angola, potatoes, we have tomatoes, we have just about anything that we need, and we can even supply the entire Southern African development community with those, with almost everything that we're producing here.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for answering that. I see Makali, you're up next, and then Rosario has a question. Mac, you can go ahead.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Ricardo, thanks for setting this up here, and Dr. and Ngenge, if I pronounced it correctly. Thanks for coming here. Great talk. Question, wanted to follow up on the solar questions. I know past few years, there's some funds, some funding that were available to Exim Bank for not just solar farm, but other energy for Angola, a couple other developers. And by the way, we're solar development, also solar manufacturer company here in Atlanta. So there were a number of projects, there were a number of funding that were available from Angola. That was last year. That was a previous administration. Do you know, since you've probably been following this closer, do you know how this new administration, how that has changed, how that may have impacted those Exim Bank funding that were approved last year? 1, and 2, were there any other additional partners that Angola, or I'm sure, were looking at mitigating the risk, just like many other countries were doing with the US election? Were there any other partners that you guys would work with in terms of getting those projects started? And in general, I would like to talk about not just solar in the residential, but utility, microgrid, etc., and any kind of input on those. Well, or other renewable too, hydro, etc.
Correct. I can say that Angola has significant potential for solar power development, and it's due to our favorable geographical location and climate. Some of the key opportunities, especially high solar irradiation, we receive an abundance of sunlight here. I mean, more than 350 days of sunshine we get here. So, of course, when you look at the opportunities here, they're in abundance. A large portion of our population, for example, they live in rural areas. So there has to be a very strong emphasis put on external or additional power sources for those particular areas. We know that solar power can provide decentralized energy solutions. So we focus on that. We're looking for partners that can come in and say, we understand the direction of the Republic of Angola, and we're willing to help you come in and help you move forward. Solar power is really used to reduce energy. And like I said, we want to make sure that we don't just have enough energy for ourselves, but we have energy also to supply those who are without it in the entire region. There are quite a bit of international partners that come in and understand the direction that we're taking. They're very supportive of us. They're not really leading us, but we've gotten out front to communicate what the priorities for the government are. And we're definitely open to anyone that wants to come in and assist us in that direction. So international funding and international partnerships are very key. Job creation is very important in this particular sector, and also the climate goals.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you, MZ. Rosario, your question, please. Please go ahead and unmute and ask your question.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Actually, I don't have a specific question. I just more here to introduce myself. And my name is Rosario, and I'm president of ASANGA. ASANGA is the Association of Angola and Georgia. And just for say, everything is happening for a reason. We just a group of young guys. We decide to put it together, bring it back. The association, which has been put in work for Angola and Georgia for so long, we decide to energize new aspirations, new visions to make the job of be the bridge between Angola and Atlanta. By being local, we know the potential about the state, we know the potential about the city, and we also, for where we come from, which is Angola, we know the potential about the both place. And we decided to unify and put the things together to see how we can empower the community in Angola in so many different ways, from cultures standpoint, economic development, and social impact.
Fantastic.
And we had the opportunity.
But fantastic, Rosario. I have to put you to a stop there, but we would love to learn more about you, because the hour is coming up. And I did want to just take questions for Dr. MZ. I would encourage you, and that's a great job. I didn't even know that there was an association for Angola here that seems to be so vibrant. So I'm encouraging you. Why don't you come out and meet us? Come out and meet us at GOC and the chamber. We have several different activities. Please share your connections into the chat. We'll get in touch and see how we can do more collaboration. We are certainly interested in collaborating and partnering with organizations like yourself. So please go ahead and do that, and then we can definitely pick up a conversation. It sounds like we need to do a part 2 about Angola at some point in the future, and maybe we can bring you guys on that can share more diverse perspective. I don't know if anyone else has any question, Doc, but I will be asking you as we wrap things up here, is number one, what sort of advice you actually have to our business owners on the call today around doing business in Angola? As we say, you know, there are probably about 3 groups of different people here: people who are going global, people who are already doing things internationally, and they're thinking, how do we scale and grow into jurisdictions like Angola? What sort of advice do you actually have for those people as we wrap this power hour up?
I would suggest they get involved with those local entities. For example, this Association of Angolans in Georgia, I know they recently held an event in January. Wanda Tucker was present at that event. Houston has a very, very large Angolan community. We have Angola Day in Atlanta, which is January 18th. Everyone should try to attend that event and get very familiar about what's going on locally. If you're in one of the sister cities, Hampton, or if you're in Houston, Texas, or even in Charlotte, there's Washington, D.C. is another area where you see quite a few Angolans, and in New York. Try to connect with some of those to get familiar with some of the events that are taking place that will put you in position to eventually set foot on the African continent here in Angola. And once you get here, I mean, it's just immediate. You'll see the opportunities in the first 24 hours in terms of what you can do. If you're trusting your intuition, those are people that you'll connect with immediately, and things can move very quickly and very easily.
Fantastic. Well, folks, the hour has come. Thank you so much, guys, for joining in. Thank you for sharing this experience with us. I learned quite a bit about Angola today, and I'm sure you may have as well. Some of the next steps that you can take, obviously, you can go back and rewatch this conversation on our YouTube channel. You can follow us on social media. If you'd like to stay in touch with us, you can join our community where you can learn more about what's happening in other spaces. We're going to be doing a power hour next week on just success stories that we're taking out of people who are coming here in Atlanta, people who are already doing business globally. We want to hear some of those success stories. So please sign up for the next week power hour as we lean into that. So as we always say, the hour has come, but the power continues, and the power is within you, my friends. Please exercise those power and stay connected and stay engaged and do what you do business and grow strongly together. Have a great afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming. We'll see you next week. Same time, same place. Thank you, everybody.